possible way to cool down in the summer? I was so hot last night it was getting unbearable, my whole body but especially my feet. So I ended up filling a plastic box with cold water and putting my feet in there while I sat on the sofa. It felt amazing, like what my feet had been crying out for lol. But I noticed that my whole body temperature seemed to cool down too. I am literally doing it again as I type this the following morning, as a way to cool my whole body rather than just my feet. Is this actually a way to cool down, or am I just imagining it? I thought it was your head that was mostly responsible for expelling heat. You're basically cooling your blood, which is then cooling the rest of you as it circulates around your body. Survivor Man often does something similar by soaking an item of clothing and wearing it like a scarf. I think what you're doing is cooling your blood slightly. I went through the same thing when I had a groin surgery years ago and sat with an ice pack in my lap for a few hours. My entire body cooled off, and I even had to get a small blanket. Freeze a wet rag and then wrap it around your neck, instant relief. Kangaroos do this same thing when licking their forearms, though it's evaporation doing the cooling instead of cold water. The blood flowing through your extremities gets extra cooled down by the cold water. It then circulates through the rest of your body. It works great, but keeping a bucket of cold water isn't always convenient. Mr. Rogers knew this and attacked racism at the same time by inviting his black friend, Officer Mr. Clemens, to have a soak in the pool to cool off. Last summer I filled a Ziploc bag with water, stuffed it into another Ziploc so the zips were at opposite ends, and froze it flat. Once it was frozen solid, I'd wrap it in a dish towel and hold it between my thighs. Like others said, it's all about cooling your blood so it gets circulated around your body. Cold cloth on the back of your neck at the same time helps too. I know people who go to bed with wet cold socks in summer. Say it helps them get to sleep. No joke, I bought ice pack slippers for my feet, because I would be so hot at night it was painful. They do the job well. Your head, feet, armpits and crotch are your body's heat centers. When your core temperature gets too high, those are the areas to apply cool compresses to bring your temp down. Inversely, when you're cold, this is why your best bet is covering your feet and head to retain your own body heat better. ETA info. What I do is repurpose old flannels washcloths by getting them damp, putting them in individual freezer bags, get all the air out before sealing it and then put them in the freezer. Got 5 or 6 now and they are a blessing in hot weather. When one defrosts I just put it at the bottom of the pile, and if it's a bit too cold I wrap it in a t-shirt before using it. If you want a quick way to cool down, put ice packs in your armpits and in your crotch. Blood vessels in those areas are closer to the surface of your skin, so it cools you off fast. I was recently hospitalized and burning up. This is how they cooled me down. Now I have a dedicated armpit and a dedicated crotch ice packs. I've always been a fan of cooling the major pulse points. I have a bunch of ice bags I use during the summer, refreeze during the day. I'll cool down my wrists, ankles, thighs, back of knees and stomach, not always all, but most. Gets my body temperature down until I can fall asleep. Put a wet shirt on with a fan blowing. The army will have you put your arms in a bucket of ice water for about a minute, then have you hold your arms above your head to let the chilled blood circulate. Pretty effective. It works because it cools your blood, which then circulates around your body. I run my wrists under the cold tap for a few minutes, does the same thing for quick relief from the heat. Take hot water bottle without cover. Icy cold water can put into pillowcase, no wet feeling. Nice cool water pillow, flexed bicep. Your thermometer is in the torso. If you cool it down you will produce heat as a response. In your case the best way to cool the body is through the feet, the palm of the hands and the cheeks. You're doing it right. Yes, this also works if you put your hand in cool water for a while. Not too cold, though, or blood flow will be restricted. The feet seem to act like the body's thermostat sometimes. It works the other way around in winter. If you are chilled and soak your feet in warm water, you will feel much warmer. Applying that cold temp to your feet transfers the temperature into your blood and travels all through your body. The US military does something similar with cold packs placed on the wrists of soldiers. There was a Huberman Lab podcast where he talked about which surfaces of the body are best for cooling and how all this system works. If I remember correctly, they cooled the hands palms of athletes and their performance went up. Animals cool down by standing with all fours in cold water. It just works. When I didn't have AC at work, I would place a cold pack in my pocket. I also kept frozen Snickers in the freezer, so I could cool down by eating them. This works with feet abs hands because when the body heats up, it pushes blood to the extremities where it is closer to the skin surface and can exchange heat with the outside. I've worked outside most of my life and concerning the heat. If you're in the heat, stay in the heat. No AC till you're done being immersed in the heat. Do not go in and out of heat and AC. Hydration starts at least the day before and it starts with fruit. Watermelon and oranges are my fav. No cotton unless it's billowy. If you must cool down, beware doing it too quickly. The neck is the best place to cool blood. Just some thoughts. Godspeed. I have to be very conscious of my shoe wear. If my feet are hot and start to sweat, the rest of my body follows. To cool off in bed, my feet come out from under the covers first, and if that's not enough, then I start to uncover the thigh muscles one by one. I've always been that way. If my feet are hot, I'm hot. If my feet are cold, I'm cold. I use that as a temperature regulator at night when I'm in bed. Too hot? Stick a foot or my feet out from under the covers. Too cold? Make sure they're covered and tucked in. Works sitting at my desk too. I get too warm, I kick off my shoes. I go into the bathroom at work and just lets the cold water run over my hands and wrists while I consider my life choices. I freeze water in Gatorade bottles and use them at night under my armpits, between my thighs or anywhere where a large artery is located to cool down. Then I pop them back in the freezer to use again. Make sure to leave some air at the top so they don't bust when you freeze them. Nope, not at all surprising. Fun fact, or maybe you don't care, but I used to work at a specialized hospital for TBI patients. Quite often they have difficulty regulating their temperatures. To help combat this, we wrapped ice packs in thick towels and placed them under the armpits for about 20 minutes at a time, not much more than that. Cooled them down nice and quick and usually lasted at least a few hours. If I'm getting overheated, I do the same thing to myself. Back of neck works too. It's kinda like when people don't go swimming when it's hot but will dip their feet in the water to cool off a bit. If it's ever super hot, I've gotten a shirt wet, wrung out the water, then put in freezer for about 20 minutes. If you pull it out and it's stiff, just wait a minute or two and it'll be perfect, then put it on. I did this right before I had to go for a walk in 97 degrees weather and it helped immensely. Dampen a couple of hand towels and put them in the freezer, pull them out as needed and wrap them around the back of your neck and rotate as they warm up. This saved me from particularly bad summer with a third-story apartment mid-July with no AC. I started wearing long-sleeve compression shirts everywhere. Even at home. It's noticeably changed my experience of heat and sweat for the better, even if it looks ridiculous sometimes. Also, a sun hat with a flap that covers your neck works wonders outside. I used to live in DC without air conditioning, and I did the bucket of cold water trick, which was amazing. I also used to fold up my sheets in the morning and put them in the freezer, and then pull them out as I was going to bed with my cold feet, and the frozen sheets were so cooling. Put a bowl of ice in front of a fan. Poor man's air conditioner. Even better if it's a metal bowl. Get a spray bottle and spray yourself when needed.